Hello, today we are making ice cream. And ice cream is a summertime favorite. And my sister last week brought me some mint chocolate chip ice cream, and I played around with the recipe and I got it the way I like it. And I hope you like it too. And while I was doing the research for it, I found an old recipe that I had used several years ago that is the world's most easy recipe for ice cream. So let me just tell you that if you like ice cream and you don't like working, this one is the best. So first of all, I'm going to do the easy peasy recipe. And before we start, let's talk about containers to put ice cream into. Now, the original recipe for this one says to put it in a loaf pan, and then you use plastic wrap to cover it and you freeze it. This looks dreadful and I don't like it, and it doesn't look like something you put ice cream in. So when I was making ice cream several years ago, I would put it into these containers, which I particularly like because you store them and you can use them for any number of things. Or these, which are dead cheap, and you can get like 1,000 of them on Amazon, and with their lids, and they're flimsy, but for ice cream they're just fine. You can get probably a quart of ice cream in them. And what you would do after you would churn the ice cream, you could put them in here, and the soft ice cream then becomes harder, and it's quite nice. Then my sister came last week, which inspired this whole thing, and brought ice cream in this container, which I got at Target for $8. And it's got a wonderful airtight lid, and it looks cool. And I've got to tell you, one recipe will fit in here. Now I'm going to make, one recipe of the vanilla ice cream right now, and then one recipe, half a recipe of the mint chocolate chip, because I have a full recipe in the freezer. The only problem with ice cream is it's not a last minute thing. You have to make it ahead of time because it takes time to freeze. Even if you're doing the freezer like Carrie right now has the old-fashioned, churner with ice and salt, which I've used in the past. It's huge and you use a lot. But it's a lot, it makes a lot of ice cream. And this is a good store. You have to store it somewhere. And this is a good thing to store it in. So I'm going to be putting the vanilla ice cream in here. Let's talk about vanilla ice cream. Now, there are two different ways of making it. Well, actually, a lot of different ways. But the two that I have, one with eggs, one without. And the problem with eggs is you kind of have to cook them. Unless you've got chickens like I do and you trust your source, because chicken eggs have our source of salmonella, all of that. We made ice cream with uncooked eggs all of the time, but I'm not quite willing to do that. So that means cooking a custard, cooling that custard, and then freezing it. So it's just a big problem. Not a big problem, but it is a problem. Okay, so let's do the easy peasy recipe. The easy peasy recipe involves condensed milk. What can I say? It involves condensed milk. And you just put it into, I mean, you don't even have to have a can opener. You just open it. You get all the goodies out and put them into a bowl. It's important to get it all out because it's very goopy, but there you go. Now to this, you're going to add your flavorings. In this case, it's vanilla. And good old Trader Joe's has vanilla paste, vanilla bean paste, which is just fabulous because you've got all of the little pieces of vanilla and it doesn't cost you $4,000 for the vanilla pods. Vanilla pods are very big now, and it just feels like, okay, they cost so much money, and you have to, for one use, whereas we have this delightful goop, which is perfect. There you go. There you go. A teaspoon. I always put just a tiny pinch of salt in anything sweet because it tends to taste better. What else? Okay, let's talk alcohol. I made some ice cream to try it out, and I put bourbon in it. And I really didn't, I mean, I'll eat that. It tasted wonderful, but I really didn't like the bourbon. So I'm thinking you could put triple sec in it. You could put brandy. You could put any other alcohol you want, or you could leave it out. And I am personally going to leave it out today just to see if it makes a difference in the texture. Supposedly, this is supposedly, the alcohol makes it softer and more creamy. Don't ask me why, but that's the supposed thing. I don't know whether that's true or not. So whatever. I'm going to get the cream, which I left in the freezer and the refrigerator. Because whipping cream, and that's 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Good old Costco. What can I say? 2 cups of heavy cream. I'm going to put that into the mixer. I don't need any sugar. I don't need anything in it. I'm just going to mix it until it is in soft heat. Well, you know, it's really almost butter. You have to watch it. Make sure you don't overbeat it. But I have it in the big KitchenAid. And you start off slow because it's splatters everywhere. But then you can start whipping it, and it usually takes about a minute. It's not that big a deal. Meanwhile, you are just mixing up this. I'm going to put a little bit more vanilla. Go. And the whipping cream, the whipped cream is almost done. I'm going to give it another 30 seconds. Done. Done, done, done. Okay. This is what it looks like. And you know, it's really thick and wonderful. Then it's a matter of, I know this sounds really simple, and it is. You fold a little bit of the whipped cream in. Go. And then you fold the rest in. Okay, this almost sounds too simple, but I guarantee you it's wonderful. Then you fold. And what you're doing when you're folding is you're cutting in the middle and moving it to the side, cutting down over, cutting down over, so that you're not getting rid of the air that you've whipped into that. Now this looks like a cloud, which is really lovely. You get your container and you put it in. Okay, that sounds almost too good to be true, but I guarantee you this is the most delicious ice cream, and it's really lovely. You can add things to it if you want. You can put in chocolate chips. You can put in pieces of fruit, cut up strawberries. You could mash the strawberries and put it in. And then you put the lid on, you stick it in the freezer for 6 hours. Now, if you want it ahead of time, ahead of that 6 hours, you set the timer for 2 hours. You open it up, you take it out, open it up, stir it up, put the outside edges, which are now all frozen, into the inside, let the inside flow outside, and then stick it back in there. You can have ice cream in 3 hours, and it will be hard in 4 if you do it at the 3 hour level. You know, you stir it up again, you can serve it. It is, and it's fabulous. What fabulous ice cream. And something that easy, I guarantee you, you will love it. Hang on for a second. And this is what it looks like when it comes out. I mean, what's not to like? It's wonderful. It's very tasty. Like I said, I made it with the bourbon in it, and I did not like it very much. I mean, I certainly ate it, but this is what it looks like when it's frozen, and it tastes fabulous. It tastes better than you know, thrifty ice cream or anything else you might want to have. It's really good. Okay, so that's the ice cream, the easy one, the no churn. Okay, so let's talk about the churned ice cream. You are making a custard base, and the custard base involves egg yolks. Now, the recipe I gave you was, I need to turn this on because I need hot water. The recipe I gave you involved brown sugar and 6 egg whites, or egg yolks. Well, these egg yolks are now, I cut the recipe in half, which will make a goodly amount of ice cream. But the first thing you have to do is steep the mint leaves. I had a cup of mint leaves, and I chopped them in a food processor. I then put them into a pan, the pulp into a pan with milk and half of the sugar. And I brought it to a boil, let it seep for at least a half an hour. And I now have, so you can see all of the leaves are there, and I'm scooching them so that you get kind of a funny, brownish, greenish liquid, which I'm going to heat up just a bit. Now, you take your egg yolks, you mix them with the other half of your brown sugar. You need to really mix this good. It should dissolve some of the sugar. It should become light colored. It's already getting much lighter. It only takes about 30 seconds to a minute of mixing, which is one of the reasons why I don't do it in the Cuisinart. It's kind of like, I might as well just do it this way. I'm going to pour in a little of the warm milk. It's got to be slow. You don't want to make it hot because you don't want to cook those egg yolks. There you go. Now I'm going to put this over the double boiler to cook until it gets, while I do that, I'm going to pour out the cup, the heavy cream. I'm going to pour a little bit of heavy cream in there, but we're going to use the heavy cream to cool it off. Let's go over here. There we go. This is cooking. Now, the original recipe that I chose for, that Dina told me about, called this dirty mint chocolate.
Yeah.
And the reason is, if you're using brown sugar, it's going to be dirty looking. And it really doesn't look that wonderful. It's much more brown, but it smells great, doesn't it, Dina?
But that always smells wonderful.
Yeah. So now, Carrie, you did the custard.
Yeah.
Oh, and it turned out right?
Yeah, turned out great. But I did the custard, and then instead of doing the chocolate mint, I added a half a cup of cocoa powder and made chocolate ice cream. Because I just figured I could do that, maybe.
Good. Why not? Why not? I love that you are becoming a much more adventurous cook. You know, it makes it does my heart good that you're now feel free enough to do whatever you want, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, you do it different next time.
It's because it doesn't matter, Kate. This is what you taught me. It doesn't matter.
It does not matter. None of it matters. Even if something just simply doesn't turn out, you throw away the evidence. You just get rid of the evidence. No one needs to ever know. And then you don't talk about it. It's really important not to talk about it.
I can hear your parenting advice in that voice. Like, no one ever has to know.
Mariana!
Hi.
None of us will ever tell.
So this is having trouble thickening up, but I'm sure it'll be fine in a minute.
Want a little side thing, Kate, while it's thickening?
Yes.
Since you've already pulverized your mint leaves, save the mint leaves, rinse them with hot water so there's no vestige of the sugar or the milk, and then put them in with half a cup of simple syrup, which is half a cup of water, half a cup of sugar, and 1 tablespoon of vinegar. Flatten it into a bag, and you have English mint sauce for your lamb.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Susan.
Welcome. I was a little bit late because I just got back, but I thought, oh, don't let those mint leaves go to waste.
Oh, okay, I won't. I did give them to my chickens, but if you don't have
And you
chickens,
just freeze it in one of those small quart-sized bags, flat, freeze it flat. And then you can fold it up in the freezer when it's frozen. And then you just take it out, put it in a hot water bowl. And by the time you're finished with your lamb, the sauce is ready to go.
wow. Wow. What a great idea.
I thought you were going to come up with a mint julep recipe. I was like getting excited. And then I was like, oh, it's something
Sorry,
else.
Mariana. No, because you have to use crushed. I had a friend that she was from Kentucky and made mint juleps one time 100 years ago. But you actually are supposed to crush your mint leaves against the glass with the bourbon and sugar spoon.
Right.
You know, you buy a spoon that's made out of sugar, and then it's like this whole thing.
Wow.
You need like a mortar and pestle, right? Like a muddle.
Yeah. As a former bartender, I can tell you mint juleps are no joke. And people who drink them are very particular.
Right.
Well, that's what I meant. They're very, very precise about how they make it. But this, you spend $8 for a little tiny thing of English mint sauce.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Or just use your leftover mint.
yeah, or just use your leftover mint. What a great idea. Thank you. Mariana,
Yes.
next week I'm going to make spanakopita.
Awesome.
Oh, yay.
A spanakopita pie.
Well, tomorrow's my last day of school, and then I have one final on Friday, but I'm going to be back to cooking show because I can actually do Thursdays now. It's good to see everybody. Hi, Dina, in the background. I can hear your voice earlier. I know she's there.
Yeah, she's there. Hello. Now, this should not come to a boil. It should be about 170, and it's not 170 yet, degrees. I think one of the things that changed my life is this lovely little thing, a thermometer, which really has made a difference in my life. You know, it means that I don't have to thump on bread to test it. So as soon as it gets to about 170, and it's now 160, when it gets to 170, I take it off, add the cream to it, the rest of the cream, and put it into a container to put in the refrigerator to have it cool off. Needs to be, it's not thickening the way I should, but it will be fine. And we're still, there we go. I'm going to turn up the heat for a little bit more of the boiling water. You're making a custard, basically. Now, you're not going to add the chocolate chips to this until after it's cold and after you've started to freeze it. Once you've started to freeze it, then you can add the chocolate chips to it. And I just do the Trader Joe's, and cut off the edges and make odd size chips. And it's awesome. It's totally awesome. So it's about 170. It's getting thick. I'm going to take it off. Going to add the cream to it. Which will cool it off a little bit. And then I'm going to pour it into a container. Oh, ouch, hot. Pour it into a container and then put it in the freezer. Or no, sorry, in the fridge to cool off before I put it into the ice cream maker. So you're not going to see me making this. It's pretty well, it's almost finished. When it cools off, I mean, it has to be really cold. You can then put it into your ice cream maker, Cuisinart. And I've got the bowl freezing in the garage. And we will have, and then we'll have mint chocolate chip ice cream, which I have.
Of course she does.
Well, I had to try it out. I
Do you have
didn't.
any doubt?
I just didn't. Now this is what it looks like. Now, again, it doesn't look, I mean, it does look like dirty chocolate chip, but it tastes heavenly. It's really good. And the texture is very nice. And the chocolate chips are, particularly when you shave it off of the block with a heavy knife, it really makes a big difference in the taste. It's really delightful. So there you have it. Ice cream. And I like Carol's idea of an ice cream party in the summer. Carol?
It
Carol?
is great. And one thing we did was, we were talking about the liquor. I didn't know how much to put in with my ice cream, so I
Mhm.
put in too much and it never froze. So what you're talking about is the right amount, and it does make it a little softer. We always like Kahlua in it. And then when you spin it up and make kind of a shake out of it, we call them polar bears.
Oh, what a great idea. Because I have poured Kahlua over vanilla ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually do like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking Grand Marnier would be really great.
Yeah.
Or triple sec,
Mhm.
you know, something orange liqueur
Mhm.
or amaretto.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd probably put in almond flavor, almond extract, as well as the vanilla.
Mhm.
But
Or raspberry or blueberry cordial, any of those.
yeah, I think smashing up strawberries and just swirling them through sounds like a plan too.
Or mashed up peaches.
Or mashed up peaches. I mean, all of these things are things that if I have to have a big production, I'm probably not going to do it. But if I'm making something that's dead easy, why not? And
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to tasting, or not tasting, but a report, Carrie, on chocolate.
No, I'm excited because the custard tasted really good. So I'm like, okay.
Okay. Got it.
But I'm curious, Kate, because I borrowed, let me show you ladies, the ice cream maker I borrowed. It is, okay, can you see?
Oh, that's the kind I had without
Okay.
the motor.
So it's this, you know, big monstrosity. And I'm wondering how is yours different, Kate? What makes it cold if you're not using the ice and the rock salt?
You have a container that is an insulated container that you put in the freezer.
Oh, okay.
And you have this that fits in into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's this insulated frozen container, and then you turn it on, and 20 minutes later you've got soft ice cream.
Aha, got it. Okay.
And that's the reason why it has to be so cold. It has to be really cold, like overnight cold, you know, like several hours cold. Which is why I didn't do it for this. I could have, but I don't want to keep eating ice cream. Right here. I don't want to keep eating. And you know, the homemade stuff doesn't have all of the preservatives in it that commercial ice cream does. So you are really looking at something that isn't necessarily going to last that long. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
Not that it would last that long in your house anyway.
well, it wouldn't, but you know, I don't need to have three different kinds of ice cream sitting there calling my name.
True.
Just don't need that. Hello, Amy. Can I go right to my thighs? You know? Anyway, so next week we are. I hope that you try it. I included the easy peasy one so that people are not going to be intimidated by having an ice cream maker. You can, anybody that has a mixer, and actually I've mixed whipped cream by hand. I mean, it's dead easy to make. And you can do it like that, you know, like, oh, company's coming tonight. What can I do for dessert? Homemade ice cream and fruit would be mighty fine. And you can do that really fast with whipped cream with the first recipe. The second recipe tastes really good. It tastes really good, but it takes longer. That's all. So next week, Greek spanakopita pie, which I will send out the recipe really soon rather than at the last minute. I'm sorry. I will send it out so that you can find the phyllo dough, the frozen phyllo dough, which is in the frozen area. I found it at Ralph's and at Vaughn's and at Trader Joe's. So don't get expensive stuff. It's just phyllo. Yeah. So thank you so much. I will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody.
Susan,
Yeah.
turn off the recording.
Oh, okay.